Okay, folks, good evening. There he is. Nordic's here already. He's sitting on your hands, just waiting for me to show up. Excellent. Gonna try to finish up some stuff tonight so that we can spray them in the morning and put them behind us. And yeah, the Panzer IV-J is done. The Panther is done, except for the antenna. That's really the only thing that needs to be done on it. We already weathered it and everything. And it looks like you can tell where the decal is, but when you clear coat it, that'll all disappear. Because these decals actually were kind of thin anyways. So we're going to weather the Panzer IV-H. And we put the decals on this guy this morning. It almost looks like this is so big that it makes the half track look so small. But this is, I'm pretty sure this is 1/76 anyways. This is the decaling that I did on it. It hasn't been weathered either. So these two need to be weathered. And who knows where we'll go from there. So let's get it on. Now, we haven't even done the base color on it, okay, which is the US Field Drab color. Okay, so the first one, oh, this thing's got all kinds of paint in there. So let's go ahead and, oh, we still got water in here from decaling. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, I wanted to actually do these two things this morning so that I could seal this evening, but it just didn't happen. You just can't make any big plans on a work morning. Let's splurge and use two squirts. Well, sometimes you can know too much information and it kind of just ruins yourself. Just like this Panther is, this is the exception to the rule because it is a Panther A with no Zimmerit, but with a with the ball mount for the machine gun. So it's unlikely there were very many of these. They just kind of got through it all, but I found a company called Kagero. They're out of Poland. I don't know why they have a Japanese destroyer name for their company. Only plans I make on a work morning is whether or not to go into work. There you go. Sometimes that's the best thing. So this company called Kagero, which was a Japanese destroyer class in the Second World War. I don't know why they're named that, but they make a book on the Panthers that is really interesting. It comes with 55 or something like that color plates of Panthers, including decals with them in 35th, 48, and 1/72nd scale. So it's a book. That's pretty cool. But, maybe when I get more Panthers. But, this, I actually found what this decal is. This decal actually is one of the Panthers that was in Battle of the Bulge. And this one wasn't. So I'm just going to roll with it. Like I said, a lot of these vehicles I've had them for a long time. This is not something I would purchase now. This is honestly a pretty crappy model. I think I've made it look pretty good, or at least when we clear coat it, maybe you can see that. But it actually looks pretty good to me, considering how many holes there are in the resin, etc. So I'm pretty happy with it. And then when I get other vehicles, maybe we'll go and be real anal retentive about what Panthers they are and so forth. But, if you cogitate too much on that stuff, you end up getting nothing done. When I used to work at the hobby store, there was this older gentleman. Of course, he might have only been a few years older than I am. I don't know. 15. He must at least been 60. And he was a really nice guy for his anal retentive as he was. It was really nice because some people that are like old and crotchety and stuff like that, but this guy was like, he knew his stuff. So he'd take you around and go, yeah, this kit right here, this isn't accurate, and you got to take this one, and you got to. And this is in the early '90s. So he knew all this information about what things were inaccurate on what kit and what you needed to replace them with, to the point where he never got anything done. Hey, Glenn, Mr. Barnes. So he knew about all this stuff, and then he never did anything with it. And that's analysis paralysis. And he wasn't a good modeler. He just spent all his time doing that. So I don't want to go into that camp. So we're just going to do the best we can, making these as war game models. And if I still have some oomph in me and want to get other Panthers, then we can worry about it then. But we'll try doing we're not going to use any numbers on Panthers that are higher than 400 and something, just to be safe, even though there's some that did. At least the one in Normandy didn't have them. And I'm pretty sure the ones in Italy didn't either. More of an Eastern Front thing. And unless you're trying to play, this is one of these units that had these non-standard numbers to confuse the enemy. Well, that's also probably the exception as well. So, PSC have a sale on at the moment. I don't think I can order directly from them. They're like, shipping is prohibitive. What's their sale? I got a convention coming up in a week. A week from today, I'm going to be at a convention. I'm going to try to shoot a video for you guys. And I'm not running anything, so I should be okay to be able to have time to do it. But we'll see what wares they have. But, I'm interested in stuff that people don't carry. People don't carry 1/72nd scale at a convention. It's like, 15, 28s, 28s everywhere. You'd think the whole world was going blind. 28s, 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 28s. I know the people that do 6 are like in a nightmare situation. Nobody ever has 6mm stuff. Still struggling where to start 50mm World War II. Getting sick of fighting yourself. Get drunk and then just order a bunch of stuff. No, I'm kidding. Do not do that. I have never been, I can't say that I've ever gotten intoxicated and done bad choices like that. I usually don't care about anything if I've had that much to drink. I used to have on Wednesday nights. Wednesday night was the night that my buddy Jeff would come over every Wednesday in the mid 90s. I was gonna say the late 90s. I don't think it was the late 90s. I think it was the mid 90s. He would come over, and he did it for like freaking 2 years. He'd come over every Wednesday night, and we would paint shit. We would paint this stuff. We'd paint 20mm World War II, and he would leave his paints and stuff there, and that's where I got used to painting as a social activity. I am a very poor multitasker, and that seemed like something I was actually reasonable at doing. And then sometimes we'd have a beer, and if we had that second beer, no more painting happened. It just didn't matter, Yeah, it's irrelevant. Didn't have to paint them for any particular event or anything. Like I said, it was a social activity. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one too while we're at it. While we got this color out. How much of a say? 0mm ultracast Cold War kits, a 20mm ultracast World War II kits. Fantastic saves 15. PSC? Yeah, well, the people in the UK told me the problem with the shipping is what they seem to think is somehow the U.S. Postal Service, my beloved U.S. Postal Service, decided to pull a fast one and raise the rates, and they just responded in kind. In the, which I don't believe. I don't disbelieve that that's what happened. I don't know. I just thought that it was really weird that when when the UK was part of the EU, the shipping to the UK between the US and the UK was about the same. It really was. It wasn't that much of a difference. It was just an exchange rate issue, which has always been an issue. It's not significant, but it was. And then when the Brexit thing happened, it's almost like they went up in price, so it didn't make any sense. But apparently, what somebody from the UK told me is that the US raised something and they just responded in kind. So, anyhow, it's not really bad. I mean, okay, if the shipping from the US to the UK is bad, it's worse everywhere else. So, buy something off eBay, Nordic. That's not a lot of money, and challenge yourself. I'm going to build this, and if I don't, I only spent $10 on it or something. Do really, 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 really small amount. Do a really, really keep yourself on a really, really short leash. I do stuff like that all the time. I just don't have the energy I don't have the energy or desire to be involved in a ton of different things. The Gaslands thing. I'm not going to do anything with Gaslands. It's not worth. It's not. Really hate that kind of shipping mentality. Well, nobody wants to pay for shipping. Hide it in there. Do it like Amazon. They hide it in there. You just look at the price of the item with free shipping. That's too much. I'm not going to get it. You could just make that determination. Somebody was suggested the other day I needed to look for something and I needed to look in Walmart. I'm like, no, I'm not giving them any of my business, because the difference between Walmart and Amazon is this: they both might be companies that you don't want to do business with, but one of them I don't have to leave my house or burn fuel or go and ask a bunch of people questions that they don't know anything about and then get frustrated and come home empty-handed and end up ordering it anyways. And spend time looking for it. So I was like, no, I'll just Amazon it. So here's the thing. I've actually found some good deals on eBay, not Amazon. You just got to look at both. You got to look at both. Amazon has an advantage that I think Amazon's big advantage is that other than something real, you could end up getting something really quick, depending if it's in your local warehouse. It's really easy to return stuff there. At least here it is for me. It's really easy. You just go to a department store here that we have in the U.S. called Kohl's, and they package it for you and everything. You don't have to deal with the notorious postal service or nothing. You just go there, and they're open on weekends. When people that work for a living have the day off, and it makes it easy. eBay can be good if you're dealing with a seller that sells a lot of stuff. They're usually pretty quick as well. But it just depends. I mean, it just depends on the item. If Amazon has a good price on something, nobody can beat it. But sometimes, frequently, it's like, oh, I want a model kit of something or another, and they just want too much money for it. You know, it might be something that's got to go through too many other hands, and they all mark their own little portion up. And by the time it gets around to you, it's not really a good deal. But you just got to look in those. But you want to use those too, because you avoid having that situation that I had happen to me about a couple of months ago, where I ordered some stuff and never got a response for the vendor, and then had to contact the credit card company and all kinds of stuff, you know. So if you use eBay or Amazon, and if you play with PayPal, you add some extra assurances of nefarious activities that can protect you. If you're going to, and I would have not thought that was the case, but until it happened to me, you know, you got people that just have a website and they don't respond, you know. It's okay, just tell me that you got to order it or it's going to take a month or whatever, but just like literally no response. Like, okay, did you guys all got like drop dead or your business isn't anymore? You just, you know. So I don't want to go through that again. eBay prices. Depends on the item. Last mile shipping costs have increased massively. U.S. regulators fall according to Royal Mail. Well, I am not a fan of the U.S. Mail. I never defend them. So you're probably right. I have ordered things before from someone and it said shipped with whoever. And I'm like, oh, cool. It's not going U.S. Mail. And on the last day, they hand off to the U.S. Mail and they like botch the whole thing up. Because the U.S. Mail will do stuff like, you know, oh, we tried to, this doesn't happen much anymore, but we tried to deliver this to you and you weren't home. Like, yeah, I was freaking working, paying for your freaking salary. Who the hell is delivering a package at 1:30 in the afternoon? You know? Like, there's nobody at home. So, generally that doesn't happen. It usually gets put in a parcel box. We have a parcel box. We have a sealed mailbox, which is, you know, kind of a pain in the ass, because if you lose that key, you got to go down to the post office and they treat you like a freaking criminal. And I absolutely hate being treated like a criminal by somebody who's a criminal. I have like a problem with that. But yeah, I hate it when it gets messed, when the post office gets their hands on it. They just screw it up. But they'll send you a note, like we try to deliver it while you, or I even got one time, you refused delivery. Like I wasn't even home to refuse it. Like I've been waiting on this thing for a week. Okay. And this one's gonna need to get an antenna, but I'm gonna seal it before I put the antennas on because I don't know where the hell they are. They're nearby. They're nearby. We could probably try to find the screws for this and screw this thing together. I'd rather do that than epoxy it. All right, do the same thing with this one. Yeah, the eBay just depends. There's some people have gotten it to me really, really quick, but that's right. Well, I said one of my pet peeves is being lied to. What's worse than that is when somebody says that you told them something that you didn't say, because now you're making me out to be a liar. That's pistols at 30 paces, pal. I've had that. It was several years ago. They tried to deliver something. No, well, come pick it up at our post office. So fine. So I go the next day at lunch or whatever to go get it. And then, oh, we don't have it here. We decided to put it out for delivery again. I said, I'm not going to be home again. And I lost like 3 days doing that. It just, I have nothing nice to say about the post office. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of anything that does not have competition. And I got no problem with the Amazon drivers. Those jokers are on time almost all the time, or they'll beat the day that they said it was going to be get there. And you can track it all the time. Just I got a fee to pay note from Royal Mail this week. Pound 350. The item cost. So you ordered something and they said it was going to cost this amount. You pay that, and then before the Royal Mail releases it to you, you have to pay them. That's extortion. eBay's good if you check off, and some sellers don't know what to charge, so you can get some steals. Yeah, it's true. It's true. eBay's good if you're buying something nobody wants. You know, um, which sometimes I've lucked out. If you're struggling to spend money on a hobby, is it worth keeping that hobby? All right. So here's the deal. You got to have a hobby, right? You have to have at least one hobby. Now, some of you guys have too many hobbies. I'm not saying you're one of them, Nordic, but you know who I'm talking about. Some people are just in too many things. So you got to have a hobby. So you think, is wargaming a cheap hobby? Well, I think it is compared to just about anything else. Only hobby I can't think of a hobby cheaper than wargaming. I mean, I'm sure there is one, but it's probably not worth doing. I mean, this is a really cheap hobby if you just buy what you're going to use and then do that. You know, say you buy a new kit of this, and there's like a dragon kit could cost you $30, okay? Which that's pretty extreme. You spend $30 on a model, shit, it's probably going to give you 15 hours of entertainment, maybe. I think that's pretty cost effective. Now, if you go and buy 100 kits and don't build any of them, yeah, it's stupid. That's like you're into hockey. You buy all these tickets to a hockey game and you never go to them. But that's not the hobby's fault. That's the person's fault. And I guarantee that person is that way about everything they get themselves into. It's just a personality thing. So I think wargaming is pretty darn cheap. But I got to keep myself. I personally keep myself on a really short leash because it could just get out of control, and then you just feel like shit. Found a real cheap 3D printer guy on eBay. There's a lot of 3D printing guys out there that do a fabulous job, but every single one of them that I like is in the UK, and some charge like $18 for shipping. And I'm not saying I'm being gouged, but because it costs a lot of money to ship things, and it's a pain in the ass. Okay, so anyhow, just be upfront with what it's going to cost, and then everything's fair, right? Which everybody is. And I'm just not somebody who's going to like drop $200 on something just so I can make the shipping of each item less. That's just not me because, I could spend the money and not do anything with them. I got to keep myself on a short leash, and there's nothing luckily that I need that badly. But every single 3D printer guy I've seen, and there's like 4 or 5 of them that I follow, every single one of them that I'm like, oh man, this stuff looks awesome. UK, 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 UK. It's the land of toys. And you know what? At least on eBay, it gives you the option of buying something that may not be available anywhere else. And then you can decide, okay, this is worth paying this kind of money, or you got to be crazy, you know? But you can make the decision. You're an adult, hopefully. But it irks me, people that go and they buy stuff and they don't do anything with it. I've been there. Because the thing is you could be buying something you are using. So why buy something you're not going to use? So I think long and hard before I spend money on stuff. Yeah. Well, you know, it's fun looking for stuff to buy, Nordic. That's kind of entertaining in itself. I couldn't tell you how many times I'm like, I wonder who makes this army. So then I'll find a manufacturer that I like. I'll write down what pack codes, you know, put them in the box, you know, put them in the shopping cart, see how much the shipping is, and realize I don't want to spend $73, and then just not click buy. You know, and then sometimes by the time you go through all that, you know, the itch is gone. You know. Get some figures from a guy in Canada for 16 pounds postage. Worked out cheaper than buying from UK. Yeah, you just got to look at everything. Yeah, you don't want to buy shit you're not happy with. Absolutely. Well, here's an idea. Don't buy Blue Moon again. I know, there's a bunch of different sculptors. Don't buy manufacturers you're not happy with, for sure, for sure. Okay, these guys are ready to spray. We'll mess with this machine gun later, but I'm not going to put it there. Let's put it in this parts box so it doesn't walk away. Late start. Yeah, Joe, I got to do other stuff with the family. Jesus. I know where you're going to be next week. Okay. I don't want to do what I need to do next, but I'm going to do it anyways. This thing turned out fabulous. I was so happy with this. And I hope all you guys entered your choices in the poll that I ran on this channel, so you can tell me what kind of videos you're looking for. Well, within the choices, I actually wanted to add a couple more choices, but it was extremely limited. It was extremely limited, the choices that allow me to give you guys. I only had like 6 things I could do. So, all right, let's put these guys in a box to go to Spraylandia. Put in a 2-pack Landschneck order tonight, Blue Moon. Yeah, those guys are great. I have them. They paint up wonderful. They're a little cankly. You know, they got big ankles. These things look. I'll have to take pictures of them in a natural light. They look a lot better. They look a lot less green than they do here. They look pretty darn green. You know. Okay, let's pull out the Soviet stuff. That we're going to go ahead and give them an Agrax Earthshade wash. And then after that, we're going to do something fun. Something more fun. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's not fun at all. And we could paint the RSO as well. RSO's ready to go, isn't it? Oh no, we didn't. We didn't weather the RSO. What the hell am I waiting for? Let's weather the RSO. The ugly duckling. I have zero interest in painting the crew for it right now. I said right now. Let's go ahead and weather that while it's fresh in my mind. I think I had a few miscasts in my Blue Moons as well, now that you mention it. Not to the extreme where you're talking about. Maybe not. I honestly don't remember. Yeah, I don't like flash on figures. I don't feel like it's up my responsibility. I think that that's the responsibility of the manufacturer. If they have a lot of figures, if they have a lot of flash on the figures, then they have really poor quality control. Really poor quality control. I just feel like that's like somebody else screwing up your screw ups. Somebody else fixing your screw ups. Sorry. And I'm just not a fan of that. Yeah, well, the worst thing about the UK shipping is it's not going to get back ever the way it was. You got your storage space sorted, you let yourself off the buying leash for a while. Yeah, I saw some. I read an article today on what was wrong with what was wrong with the Panther A's from Plastic Soldier Company. And sometimes it's better not to know. I am. I'm not super particular about some things, especially if it's these old things that I got and I know they're inaccurate, and I'm painting them knowing them. They are a war game piece. It depends what you're going to do with it as well. You could build the most accurate models in the world, for wargaming, and then you play rules that are inaccurate. What's worse? I'd rather have rules that are accurate. I mean, obviously you want both, but being drawn into voice chat elsewhere. Okay, have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. Not in the morning. I should be on in the morning tomorrow. I have an early wake up call tomorrow. I've got the daughter is out of town and I've got to go pick her up at like 5 in the morning somewhere, which isn't really that much of a problem for me. It's just getting up an hour earlier than I normally do. Let's make sure we don't want to. All right, that goes there. All right, now we will put the Agrax on these Soviets. You have somewhere to put them? Yeah, I think so. I think we can put them. Let's put them right here. where in the Agrax are these guys? Gotta put a machine gun on this one later. All right. Is brush too big? This method's working pretty good for me. Of course, all four of these tanks will have hand-painted stuff on them. Slogans, numbers, all the above. I'm a lot more comfortable with putting my fingers on this now that I've found something that can take this stuff off, because this is difficult to get off your fingers. Agrax Earthshade, you have to really scrub and stuff with soap, but the hand sanitizer takes this, just dissolves this completely. This is an SHQ miniature, by the way, in 1/76 scale. T-34-76 Chelyabinsk turret style. Okay. Just gonna move this over here. Do the next one. What have you been looking forward to buying now that you're now that the restriction on purchasing has been lifted? Was there something that you had your eye on, or you're free to look at everything now? It's got the spare track here at the bottom. This is a T-34-85. design on these things was a pain. It's sitting at like the wrong angle. Been buying samples from a load of manufacturers: Assyrian, Landschnecks, and War of the Roses. Assyrians, everybody's favorite neighbors. That's one of those civilizations that, falls because there's such bad neighbors that everybody's like, okay, well, you guys are going to get your turn and we're going to participate in your downfall. Good morning, Gregory. The Land of Oz. The Land of Tomorrow, because it's tomorrow there. You don't want these to touch because they'll end up actually sticking together. This is somewhat sticky to a degree. Oh, there's only 5. That's good. I thought there was more. Biz Traveler, good morning from Hong Kong. Excellent. There's a lot of historical wargamers in Hong Kong. At least I see lots of their posts on there. That's good. I didn't realize there was that many Chinese manufacturers in 1/72nd scale. I had no idea. But I've been kind of out of the model kit business for 20 years or so who knows what really happened, but only one I really messed with is S model. I really like the S model stuff. I like that you get 2 vehicles instead of 1. You have been dabbling in a set of rules titled 1 Hour War Games by Neil Thomas. Have I heard of them? Yes. They had them at a used bookstore in Jacksonville. I think they retail for like $20, and I think they were like 6 or 7. I didn't pick them up. I flipped through them, and I'm like, this is not the direction I want to go in. As I've gotten older, I am resistant to learning new rule sets. I'm resistant to reading new rule books. I just don't enjoy reading rule books. But unlike most people that like to play simpler games, I'm going in the opposite direction. I don't want to dumb down my painting, and I just don't think that spending the amount of time and effort that I'm doing on my vehicles and figures, that I should be playing a game that's super simple. So I'm kind of going in the opposite tack of that. And I'm just tired of compromising detail for what I'm doing. So The game that was close to what I was looking for was Chain of Command, but it's still a little too generic for my taste. I've watched lots of games of it being played, and I think you could probably. I think I would probably be happy if I'd never found the set of rules that I use. I'd probably be happy with Chain of Command and then modifying a few things to add more flavor to it. But very strong DBMM in Hong Kong, yeah. Saturday morning here, rather dull autumn day. Yeah. I just, I'd probably enjoy playing DVMM. I just don't have it in me to play 100 games wrong before I get one right. And that's what it would end up being. I love Phil Barker. I'm not playing his rules anymore. They make my head hurt. They make my head hurt. And he's a hell of a nice guy. I don't have anything bad to say about the man. But I'm just tired of I'm tired of reading the same sentence 3 or 4 times and not coming up with a solution. It just, that I don't want to play tournament stuff anymore, because then it's like if something doesn't make sense to me or anybody else that's playing the game, and if it's a tournament game, well, we can't change the rules because then it's in a tournament and then you have to. Okay, well, the way around that is don't play tournaments. I've played enough tournaments, And as much as I enjoy painting 15 millimeter figures, ancients and medievals, I'm enjoying this so much more. Because, say you're done with Germans. Like, I want to paint a German tank, and next time I don't feel like painting one, so you don't. I don't have to build it for a certain event or anything. Rather dull autumn day. You mean spring. The smaller scales are Mo. Yeah, I don't mind the 15 millimeter scale. I'm not doing 28s. It just takes too long. Forget the expense. It just take too long. Smaller scales work here. There's limited storage and play spaces. Yeah. Yeah, I see lots of pictures of you guys playing that Tiger Room or whatever. Why is it called the Tiger Room? I mean, that's a cool name. Don't get me wrong. You know. Nice to hear me chuckling. Um, do I not chuckle enough? I like to laugh. One of the things I don't like is I like stand-up comedy, but I don't like stand-up comedies that comics that don't laugh at their own material. And I'm not saying that they should laugh at every single thing you say, but there's some people that are just. I'm not a fan of deadpan delivery. I'm not. I'm gonna take a. This stuff is a pain to get off your fingers. Well, if you use a little bit of hand sanitizer, it's gone, just like that. I'm always laughing at in this hobby. Maybe not on my regular day doing regular stuff, but listen, if you're doing your hobby and you're not having a good time, you can find a different hobby. I've seen people that they'll go to a war game convention, and I'd say half the people that go there are just angry all the freaking time. Like, you need to find a different hobby, man. Now, if you're playing against a bunch of assholes, sure, it's a miserable experience, but okay, I got some of that stuff off. So your eyes won't allow me to paint 15, which would be my preferred option as possible. I have had eyesight issues in the last 10 years, meaning right now I'm naturally nearsighted. My prescription is about a -5 3/4. But if I gotta wear readers for things up close, that doesn't really work. So I just take my contacts out, and I got built up. I got a +575 now. The problem with it is that, 8 inches from my face, everything's blurry. So I stumble around and do fumbly things, and I'm not really fond of that. I'm not fond of being incompetent. Due to not just basically being blind out there. But that's what I had to do. So, if I did bigger figures, I'd still take my contacts out because they're up close and they'd be blurry. So I don't see how going up in size would benefit me. Now, if you had the shakes or something like that, I could see maybe that's helpful. But you can't paint without 3.5 readers on. Yeah, it happens to everybody. Luckily, it's something that happens to everybody. It's not like, oh, freak, look at that guy, he's a freak, he's got to wear glasses for. No, it happens to everybody. The biggest thing I noticed was the computer. I can't do the computer with 20/20 vision. Well, it's not 20/20 vision. That's the problem. It's, I've lost the up closeness. So I use the weakest readers I possibly can that I can get away with, which I think is like a 125 or something like that. I got to carry those with me all the time like an old man. But it's not a big deal. It actually, the good thing is it actually helps you. I think it helps you focus. You're seeing things here clearly, and nothing else is as clear. You focus on that. But it is kind of weird when you're too close to something and you can't see well. For somebody who's been nearsighted their whole life, that's very strange. So yeah, I got a pair of, I think, 375s. That's what I first started using, because I've just always painted with my contacts in. I've painted in 20/20 vision with contacts, but then, start losing that up close thing, have to use readers. And it kind of happened really quick. I wish I could have pinpointed when it was, but it was about when I turned 45, something like that. So 7 or so years ago. Okay, I think we don't want to miss any of these spots because we lose character that these turrets have. All right, we're going to set these guys off to the side, and then we're going to come back and we dry brush with the same color that was on it before. That's just kind of the method that I've painted by. It works for me. I'm happy with it. Said I really don't care how other people paint. If you want to paint my way, that's cool. If you got your own way, that's cool. I don't try to convert people, and I don't let myself be converted either. So, the Tiger Room is a dedicated gaming room that is set up and run by a longtime H&K gaming legend, Lawrence Ho. Games are played 3 or 4 times a week, and Lawrence has dozens of 15 million. You guys play 3 or 4 times a week? That's excellent. That's great. Oh, Lawrence Ho. He's the Ho of Hong Kong, isn't he? Little bit of humor there. No, that's cool. Do you guys prefer Asian armies? I'm a big fan of Asian armies. Well, not in World War II, but ancient stuff, absolutely. I like Asian armies. They're cool. The only thing Asian armies stink about is their flags. And all of the flavor that their armies have, and the flags just don't have any of it, unfortunately. You know, if you want to paint them realistically, if you want to make up your own stuff, sure, you can do whatever the hell you want then, but this ain't Warhammer. Okay, now to do some fun stuff. All right, let me go grab some stuff out of the closet. And this is something I've talked about a lot. And I feel like I need to take the first step here soon. So I'm not necessarily working on things for a scenario. I'm just kind of doing stuff. So I'm perfectly happy hopping all over the place. It doesn't bother me any. Let's see how quick I can find this. I'm pretty sure it's in one of these down here. Found it. Two. I have 4 vehicles in my hand, which are kind of unusual. Well, they're unusual from the other stuff that I have. And this may not be 100% accurate, but it's what's available at the stores. This is actually a 15 millimeter building. I use it as a 20 millimeter barn, and it needs to be weathered. I mean, it's actually painted really well, I think. I just need to put some weathering on it. Like, the color on it is fine. It's got to weather it, so. But I've used this several times. It's got a collapsible roof, second floor. It's way too big for 15 millimeter. So I just use it kind of like a little barn and upstairs part. And I think it fits okay. I mean, you use this for 15 millimeter, you can't even hardly get to look out the window. Anyhow, I picked these up a long time ago. Like a long, long time ago. Johnny Lightning. These are, I'm sure, all 1/64th scale or something like that. I don't know what vehicle this is. It's probably whatever this is. This is a 40 Ford. Okay, so this is probably a 1940 van. Obviously, we're going to take all that stuff off. I don't think I'm going to break them apart, because one of the most dangerous things I've ever done is take these rivets off the bottom of a Matchbox car. I've done it for some of the Gasland stuff. I'm not going to do it again. That's a good way to lose a finger. It's just not worth it. And then what is this? Is this also, no, this is a different brand. This is a, I don't know what vehicle this is. Oh, this one has screws. Oh, cool. And I actually don't know if this one's useful. Made in Malaysia, 1935 Cadillac. This one really isn't that much of a priority to paint. But anyways, these 3 vehicles we're going to paint out as civvies, because what we're going to start working on next on figure-wise is the Maquis. Because I think that to introduce this game to people is get them to play resistance fighters. Because it's really easy to give everybody like 3 guys. You know, 3 or 4 man fire teams. And these are some really cool figures. I'm going to have to zoom in on this a little bit so I can prove to you. They look a little quirky sometimes. They look a little quirky, but these are a mixture of SHQ and Battlefield / Drew's Militia. I think these guys were Battlefield at the time. The SHQ guys are kind of a little uninspiring. So we could do better than that. We can do much better than that. These guys are worth looking up close. And, you know, with my style, all of my figures have names on them. Let's see if I can find one of them right here. No. Why do I move them somewhere else? They all have names on them. So in this case, these guys are all going to be you finally start getting headaches with. You probably do. Yeah, I feel a little bit. I don't like to do it for a long time. So here's a guy with a double-barreled shotgun. Let me get the SHQ guys out first. Here's a guy that looks like he's got a Bren. We got a lady leader with a. I'm just saying she's a leader. She has a revolver and a Molotov cocktail. Is it still called a Molotov cocktail in France, or would it be a cognac especial? This guy's got some kind of a bolt-action rifle. Here's another guy with a rifle. This looks like the French rifle, whatever it is. I don't remember what it is right now. MAS rifle. These are all SHQ guys. Here's another guy with another rifle. Lots of berets here. I have about 30 of these guys. I got tons of Germans. I got enough Germans for these guys to blow sky high. So I just needed to redo the basing so they look decent. Here's another. Oh, wrong guy. Wrong manufacturer. Whoops. This guy has a Sten. A Sten machine gun. These actually have quite a bit of personality for SHQ. SHQ tend to be like all generic. Almost like Airfix figures where they all just kind of look like the same guy. Here's another lady with a Sten. And I think that's all of the ones that are SHQ. So they're not too bad, but they're not nearly as exciting as the other guys coming up. These guys are all Battlefield. You have a guy here that's bareheaded with a Bren machine gun. I mean, look at that face. That's going to paint up great. Now, this particular manufacturer also has they have ankles that basically aren't going to break. They're a little oversized. That's just the style that they're done in. We have, look at this girl. She's got a pistol. She's got a Panzerfaust. She's got Princess Leia hair or something like that. She's got her socks tucked out of her shoes. Of course, you know, they're oversized. They're cartoony looking. Got another guy with beret and a Sten. These guys have really very well paintable faces. Here's another guy with a Sten. This guy actually has a sweater or a scarf. He's got a scarf around his neck. Why is it so damn blurry? Very paintable face. This guy's got a Thompson. Look at that face. Freaking great. He's got like a suit jacket. And grenade! We're going to have to add a little tricolor flag to him. He's got a Thompson on the back. So their shoes are oversized. Just the style that this guy decided to do them in. But some of these this is a superb face. It's just superb. Here's a guy. He's bareheaded. He has a sweater that is tied around his waist, like we all used to do in the late 80s. Oh, man. Man, he's got big feet. This guy's another guy is Sten gun, skulking. Got a potato masher. Good old Bren gun. Bren gun is always a good looking weapon. Got a lot of stuff going on it. This guy looks like he kept an old French 1940s helmet. And maybe even the jacket. Most of these have armbands. You see where this guy has an armband right there? I'm probably just going to do tricolor on them because there are lots of different factions in the French Resistance. Look at this guy. This guy's got a Piat, a Piat, officer here. He also has the 1940s style helmet. It's got puttees. This guy's an officer that's actually wearing, it's like a German cap. What force lists am I building? I don't know. What that's like. I don't understand that language because this is just complete skirmish. So every person's only gonna run like 3 or 4 guys. So it's gonna be like mission specific. Here's a guy hollering who's got a watch on. He's got a bandolier. I play a set of rules. It's called the Face of Battle. It's been out of... Oh, this guy's an SHQ guy. It survived. I should have showed him to you guys before. He looked like one of these guys. It's an SHQ guy. He's got an MP40 slung under the shoulder. Saboteur with a mustache and dynamite. Thompson. This guy's got a MG42 he took from somebody. And I believe he hangs out with this guy. Just carrying on his shoulders. So they actually fire like this. And I've had these a long time. I picked up some tractors. Of course, they all broke. All the wheels on them broke, but just for have stuff for details and stuff. So I've got a French farmhouse from to have an onion cellar. I've picked up watching that again yesterday. It's pretty funny. I think it's a little slow. That's the only problem that I have with it. I'm still on season 1, but an onion cellar, yeah. I do need some downed airmen. Anyhow, so I think I'm going to prime a couple of these guys tonight, and possibly might be able to work on them. Better question: what is the inspiration? I don't know. You could play. You could have a. The whole point is if this game moves very slow. So, running a game where everybody is on one side is helpful, because whoever the guys that I would be playing are going to move and make decisions quicker. It's also easier if you don't okay, I have a question to ask you. Why don't you guys leave the room? That really bogs the game down. When people that don't know what they're doing are trying to outsmart each other, that just adds extra drama that isn't needed. Especially when they're trying to learn the rules. So it could be mission specific. Maybe they're trying to, blow something up or get off the side of the board or rescue somebody or get in a vehicle and take off with it. The only thing I've ever purchased from somebody painted that I can think of right now is actually goes with this. And this is something that a vendor used to have that used to frequent our shows a lot. He made this. And I've had this for over 20 years. I've never done anything with it. And this is a Matchbox car or vehicle that he painted up as a taxi. So this could be they come on the board and 4 guys scurry out of here. That kind of stuff. So anyhow, so I think this is probably the other thing is if you have multiple people on the side, you could play a game like Pig Wars with the idea of like Pig Wars where you could have multiple people on the same side that actually have different agendas. You could have people that are communist, and they would love nothing more than to see maybe the leader of one of the other guys killed or something like that. Like they don't want to kill him directly, because it's so there could be like a game within a game. So there's just a lot of stuff that you can do. But the meat and potatoes of this game is that each figure has basically 2 actions every turn, and those actions are represented by wooden chip. I'm going to use wooden chips that go in a bag, and you basically draw the actions randomly. So it does move slow, and it's not really made to fight a platoon fighting another platoon. It's really meant for small scale actions, like a hunt for a sniper or things like that of that nature. So let me get some magnets on the bottom of these guys. So we've got to do that anyways. And the inspiration is I just wanted to get back into World War II. I haven't messed with my World War II stuff in 20 years, and honestly, I've gotten really tired of spending the amount of time that I do on my miniatures and then play a game that's very vague. And it's just not very fulfilling anymore. I'm a very detailed painter, and I enjoy that part of it. And I don't like playing a game, like I have the last 18 years, that's very generic. and treats all units of every category the same way. So I'm not a. I don't think I'm going to go back to playing DBA ever again. It's just too generic for me. It's too abstract. Also, I'm not an abstract thinking kind of person, you know. So I just mainly wanted to paint different kind of stuff, you know. And what was really inspiring for me is seeing one person's stuff in particular. He had a ton of stuff painted for World War II, and I'm like, all right, when am I gonna work on my World War II stuff? Am I gonna wait until I'm too old to do it and not be able to do it? So it's just kind of I've gotten a lot done in the last year. I've painted probably 70 vehicles since the beginning of October. So I'm on a tear. The figures actually takes longer to paint a figure than it does a vehicle, but you know, once you paint somebody, you don't have to paint that person again. So I'm mainly doing this for me. So I will film these games. It might just be me playing them solo because nobody may have the stomach for it. But I will have to practice on how to play the game and becoming familiar with it before I present it to other people, because I did run this game in 2004, or I ran a scenario of it in 2004, and I made a couple of mistakes. One of the mistakes is I ran it at a convention, which meant I was strictly limited to a 4-hour session. And when you spend an hour and 15 minutes explaining the game to people, you know, you generally can't finish the game. And you know, one of the best ways to describe to have somebody play the game or get people to play the game is just have everybody play on one side. You know, so only one side's moving slow and having decisions and stuff. And it's not a complicated game at all. I mean, it has a lot of detail, but it's not complicated. It's like you get one action. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, you can either fire or throw a grenade, or, you know, you can reload, or you can, you know, it's really simple, the kind of things that you can do. You can move this far, you know, and you get one action. So you decide, you know, you pull a card for, you pull a chip for so and so, and they get to do one action, and then it's somebody else's chance to pull a card. And it could be, since everybody has two chits, it could be the same guy could go again. It's not likely, and the bigger the scenario, the less likely it will be him. But it's basically plays in like something in slow motion. So if that's not your thing, well, you know. That's what I like. I like games that have a lot of detail and a lot of flavor and doesn't treat everybody's rifle the same, and, you know, gives you reasons to paint different stuff. So it's definitely not like bolt action or anything like that. And it is percentile based. So, and it just makes sense. Everything in it makes sense. There's very little abstraction. You're playing an actual. About the only abstraction in the game is the rifles are limited. You know, a real bolt action rifle can fire very, very, very far, but they're limited to, you know, they still can fire across the table unless you've got, you know, a table that's like 10 or 12 feet long. They still can fire like 6 or 7 feet away. You know. But, you know, some machine guns will go shoot a couple feet away. Grenades will go, you know, a foot away. And scatter and stuff like that. So it's just a different, it's a game that's driven by narrative. It's, you know, when you're done playing the game, you have a very detailed story that happened. And that's what I like. It may not be for everybody, but that's what I like. But I got to make sure I know what the hell I'm doing before I present it to other people. Or be like, oh, that game sucks. Well, it sucks because I don't know what I'm doing. You know, so. A couple short, we'll wait on those guys. We got enough guys to paint here right now. All right, let's trim these. things so they're even with the basing, and then we will go and, yeah, we're going to do the Jerusalem Militia guys first. Let's put this guy out of the way. So, yeah, I was looking today and, what colors these guys. Now, I don't know if there was any 1940 Ford convertibles that would have survived and made it to France, but at least they're contemporary. But these are all going to be, dull type colors. They weren't. You're not going to have a vehicle that's bright yellow riding around, but just something for atmosphere. There's a company out in UK, of course it's in the UK, that makes 3D printed stuff. I want to say it's Badger. I could be wrong. But they make like civilian sets of like civilians like basically walking away from the front with like their belongings and wheelbarrows and donkeys and stuff like that. I'm like, man, that just calls to me like for scenario ideas right there. That's like perfect. But the main objective is to paint these guys, to enjoy painting them. The game is just a sideshow. It's not, if I really wanted to play the game, then I just play with them like this without them being painted. But it's just at the end of the day, there's going to be something worthwhile playing. And unfortunately, the rules are out of print. At least the core rules are out of print, which is pretty silly. So maybe if I put some of these games on the internet, maybe the author will be motivated that people have some interest in this game and put them out for people to purchase again. I don't understand why in the digital age things go out of print. That's just ridiculous. But the core rules, which basically only has the Soviets and the Germans, is out of print. You could get it. You can pay it out. You're paying out the nose for it. I don't recommend anybody getting it without seeing what the game's about, because it is just. I came across these rules in 2002, and they were really close to the game that a buddy of mine and I were coming out with. We were making our own rules for ourselves. Not like we were going to market it or anything. And one of the biggest things, it's a big deal for me, is percentile. I'm a percentile type player. That's what I like. That's what I'm used to playing. Well, not for the last 18 years, but before that. Yeah, I may not get a chance to prime these guys, but at least I'm doing this part. This is moving towards the goal. I got a French farmhouse that's used to be made by a company called Queen Sassars. It's now carried by Lancer, I think. It's destroyed, so that thing even has a garage. There's all kinds of 3D buildings that you can buy online. There's just so much stuff available now that it's just salivating. It's just salivating. But we're not going to go out and buy all that stuff. We've got to, earn it. I will paint the buildings I have before I get any other ones, so we can practice on them. Hell, I've had them for over 20 years and done nothing with them. Onion seller. Yeah, actually, one of the things I really like about the series is that it's linear. That each episode builds upon the next one. I actually like that. But it runs a little slow. I was actually hoping we could watch it as a family, but the girls didn't take to it. They thought it was a little, I don't know, they just didn't like it. I did though. But I've always been a World War II guy. That's all we used to play before. And there's just so much more material now than there was 20 years ago. That we have access to it on the internet and everything. That's just, it's really, really cool. And there's a lot of stuff to 3D print. Nothing, I don't want to get a 3D printer. I'm not getting into that. I'm a painter. I build models. And I'm a noob at the airbrush. And that's where it's going to end. I'm not interested in getting into a 3D printer and getting into a fight with a machine that you can't understand that's like stuff that you get paid for to deal with, and it still wouldn't be worth it. I don't mind paying for somebody else to 3D print things, as long as I do something with it. And MG42s, not right now. We're gonna have to make a special stand for that, so that they can go together as a team. They need to. That Brit speaking in the broken French kills me. Well, here's something I'm going to tell you. It is so much better than if you watch something, that was done what, in the mid 80s, and everyone on that show is British, I'm pretty sure, right? And everyone on that show attempts to do a French accent of some sort or another. And it works. What doesn't work is if you've got a British actor, like the guy who plays Louis XIV, who does a great job playing Louis XIV in Versailles. He's the guy who plays the monk in Vikings or whatever, Althassan or whatever, the same actor. He makes zero attempt to do a French accent of any kind. And I think it's horrible. So before somebody says, hey, the accent, those broken French accents are bad, you know what stinks for me? Death of Stalin, where nobody makes a Russian accent. It's annoying and like grating on a chalkboard, because I could do the French accent with some practice. Like get me somebody, and just be in the spirit of it. Still do it in English, but do it with a twang. But just saying, we can't do it at all, just do your normal accent, is just ridiculous. It doesn't work for me. That's why I hated Death of Stalin, because of that. Zhukov going, oi, come on. So yeah, I actually like I was noticing that today. Every single person attempts to do a French accent. And it's refreshing, even though it's old. It's refreshing because that's just not the thing anymore. I don't think it's that difficult to do. You don't even have to do a great job of it. You just have to kind of, pretend that you're a character from another country. How difficult is that to do? I mean, you can't even use the excuse, oh, they're Americans, they can't do the accent. No, none of them are Americans. Yeah, I actually like it quite a bit. I wish it didn't have a laugh track. That's the only gripe. I don't think it has a laugh track. It was just done in front of the studio audience. I wish it wasn't. I wish it didn't have the studio audience. I think it's distracting sometimes. But I enjoy the show. I do enjoy the show. and I didn't watch it until basically recently. I watched it about a year ago, and then left it, and I picked it up 2 days ago, again. Okay. We got any girls here? Just one? Nah, I gotta base up another girl. That's the whole point, is to have these ladies kick some ass. We got another one that's already on a penny. Maybe not yet. All right, we'll leave her being a lone girl for the time being. But I've got, I think, the right amount of. I got like 30 people, so this is like perfect. Like, this is plenty, and they all have a lot of character. They have different weapons. Really pretty cool. Really pretty cool. So. Series 2 was when the character was introduced. You'll see what I mean. Funny as hell. Can't wait. I think I got 2 more to do. I've just saw 7. So, good. I look forward to it. I enjoy the humor. But I enjoy English humor. As long as it has subtitles. Because, well, I watch everything with subtitles. Even if it's American shows. People mumble a lot, or they speak too fast, or so I like that kind of humor. Where is the? Well, I'm gonna call it a night because I don't even have the primer stuff there. But these guys should be ready to. Boy, this guy's got some flash issues. And all these guys are out of print. They don't make them anymore. And, I mean, this guy's got a great face. These guys are going to be great. The only thing that won't make them awesome is they've got to be kind of drab, because clothing of that period was pretty drab. It really was. But they're all going to... Everybody has a surname. All of my troops have surnames. These guys will all have first names. So, yes, there'll be a Jean-Luc. Chill out. I gotta get some old-looking dude. Maybe it'll be the guy with the dynamite. Jean-Luc. Maybe this guy can be Jean-Luc. Oh, anyhow, I think this is the way to introduce the game. Because you can keep it small, you can keep the missions, real simple. Sabotage something, get someone off the board. I got some odd figures from FA. I've got like a housewife or something like that. If you look on eBay, there's a guy who does 3D printing, and I assume it's a guy, and he's got all kinds of stuff. He's got like donkeys carrying baggage, stuff that would be in a scenario but doesn't necessarily have any combat value. And all that stuff could be really useful for, missions and things like that. So, Season 2, huh? Series 2. I'll have to look out for that. Anyhow, okay, folks. Well, thanks for coming by, and that's a little sign of things that are maybe starting up over the weekend. And like I said, I'm painting vehicles just on the side. I got so many of them. I need to get through them. This is what I love about this. I'm tired of painting Russians. I'll paint some resistance fiber. I'm tired of resistance fibers. Let me go paint something else, I'm really enjoying this. And not, I've got a convention coming up in a week. I don't have to do anything for it. I'm not bringing any troops. I'm not running any games. I can just do whatever the hell I want. So, okay, folks. Well, thanks again.